Cannot see it. Let me try. Okay. Go back to this one. I want to show the Google Classroom. Tak ada lah. Oh, okay, yes, there is. So can you see the Google Classroom?
Yes, madam.
Okay. So say for example, if I show you this one, useful guides and reading, and open it, will you be able to see it?
Yes, madam.
Okay. If I open this, can you see it?
Yes, madam.
Yes.
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. You can see what is the title of this? This is dissertation proposal template. Can you see or not?
Yes, clear.
Can see it? This is dissertation proposal template.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, madam.
Alright, good. So what you do now, when you start working on your proposal, please use this template. I don't know about RKFQ and RKQS, but at the Department of Usuluddin, the assessors or your lecturers are very particular about you using the right format. So you use this format, yeah? So in principle, your proposal should have title, of course lah kan? Should have introduction, should have statement of problem, significance of study. This one I think is good to have, yeah? Then research objectives, research question, literature review. The theoretical framework is when you have certain theory to work on. If you're working on the basis of certain theory, especially if you are doing empirical research. Yeah, but if you do not have certain particular theory, then you need not to have the theoretical framework. Yeah. Whatever it is, you listen from your supervisor lah. If say for example you have a title and then your supervisor based on his experience, he found certain theory and he wanted you to examine the theory, then you can you can design this as theoretical framework. And then methods, and then proposed chapter outline. Yeah. This chapter outline lah yang the one I said, if you already have a supervisor, he can help you. Because I'm not a subject matter expert in fiqh usulul fiqh and Quran Sunnah studies. For Usuluddin, insyaAllah I can guide you. But of course, your supervisor will know better than myself. Yeah. And then bibliography. Okay. Should not exceed 5,000 words, about 15 to 20 type double space pages. Yeah. What else? So these are your kind of milestone for your research lah. If you can do this for the purpose of disciplining yourself, I would recommend you to do it. You can develop your own research milestone when you start writing. And there is also another sort of milestone, they call it Gantt chart. It's good to have Gantt chart or milestone because, for example, when you are filling in progress report form via iMonitor, you need to tell what is the status of your research. For example, iMonitor is a system developed by CPS to guide students who are under research proposal and research writing. Because once when you started your research, you will not register courses, kan? If you register courses, you register online. So it is easy for us to make sure that you are in the system. But for those who are writing research, what is the mechanism that the university will be able to know that you are registered in the semester? So the mechanism developed by NUSI is eye monitor. So when are you able to access iMonitor? You are able to access to iMonitor the moment you register research proposal. Because when you fill in the form, research proposal, registration of research proposal, this form will go to university level, CPS, and CPS will key in your name in the iMonitor. And starting from that point, for your semester registration, you have to do it via iMonitor. And in that iMonitor, you have to report what is your status of writing. Say for example, next semester kan, semester 1, 2001, semester 1, 2021, 2022. We want to know what is your progress. Say for example, you have written chapter 2 lah because uh, in this semester you write your proposal. Your proposal is chapter 1 already. So when you write a progress report for semester 1 in September, we expect that you either you have written chapter 2 or you are still writing chapter 2. But say for example, in semester 1, 2021, 2022, when your report come to me and I look at it and you still in chapter 1, I will know that you have not been progressing. There are cases when I rejected the report. When I reject your report, even though your supervisor recommend, even though your head of department recommend, you will be in trouble because you have to register manually. Okay, so you will be much more delayed in terms of your registration. This is a kind of punishment for not progressing. This is how I teach the student to progress. Because sometimes I tell you there are PG students who didn't progress even after the 4th semester of his master study. And this made me so, I don't know what to say. I just learned, for example, one student from sociology, he is now in semester 4, which is the maximum period of the normal study period, but he has yet to defend his proposal. What do you think? So I said to him, I will not approve your registration until you defend your proposal in semester 4. So if he does not, because he has to apply for extension, right? By the 5th semester, you need to apply extension. So I said to him, I will not approve your extension even though your supervisor approved. But of course, how the supervisor want to approve if he has not defending his proposal, right? So I make it mandatory for this person to defend his proposal. I tell the head of department, make sure this guy defend the proposal, only then I approve the extension. And then this is for international students, Sister Amirunisa and Brother Salahuddin. If you do not get the extension and your visa is expiring, you are in a very trouble situation. Yeah, because it means that you cannot get the visa if we do not allow you to register. So this is the only way that I make the student work.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, both of you will be able to do it. I'm just telling you what will happen if if you fail to do your task by the stipulated time. Alright, so inshallah, if you know all this regulation, you will be able to do your part, right? Okay, now I want to show you the thesis manual. Okay, I want to stress one thing. From the very beginning, when you start writing your research proposal, and then when you have defended your proposal, you get the approval from the department, from the kuliah, please use the format prepared by the university. So I have put it in your Google Classroom. Write your thesis using this format because it will make your life easy. Because why? When you want to submit your thesis, you have to fill in the form. That form say format. Your format will be checked. And we have introduced IIUM Academy to check your format. There are two types of formatting at IIUM Academy. First is basic formatting, secondly checking of format. If you have not do the format from the very beginning of your writing, you will have to do the basic formatting. Now, basic formatting will cost you 1 ringgit 50 cents per page, or maybe 1 ringgit per page. I think 1 ringgit 50 cents. So just imagine if you have 100 pages. You have to pay because you did not follow the format that IIM has designed for you. But if you have followed the format, IIM Academy will ask or we want you to only check the format. So the checking of format is faster because they will only look, they will only make random checking on the pages, and the cost is of course much more cheaper. I think for 100, the first 400 page is 10 ringgit if I'm not mistaken. So say for example, if you have 150, the next 100 pages I think is another few ringgit. So you pay less. And for the department, for the kuliah, for me to approve your thesis to go for examination, you need to do the formatting. Otherwise, I will not sign. Alright. So have this and do the formatting on your own. Formatting includes the referencing, the footnotes. Yeah. Okay, before I stop on this basic formatting thing, can I ask you, um, do you have any idea of what it means by Chicago manual style, APA style, Harvard style? Are you familiar with what I have mentioned just now? Can someone answer me?
Is it for like
This is
footnote?
writing. Okay, doesn't matter lah, footnotes ke, endnotes ke. Have you heard of this term? Chicago Manual, APA style,
Is it
Harvard
for
style.
references?
Yes,
Yes, for references.
footnotes.
Alright, yeah. So I believe for IRK courses in your undergraduate study, we use Chicago Manual, right?
Yes.
Okay. We use Chicago Manual and we use footnote style, right? Betul tak? Adib? Confirm ni? Okay, alright Amir. Alright, so you will find that some journals that publish academic articles do not use Chicago Manual style and footnote style. They want APA style. APA style is much more brief and precise. It is widely used now. Even Islamic studies, I think, have adopted APA style. How APA style looks like? APA style looks like this. When you read a book, you'll find that at the end of the sentence, the author will put a bracket and do like this. For example, if the author cited from my work, so he will put Haslina, comma, 1995, which means that the citation is taken from my work, Haslina Ibrahim, yeah, published in 1995. So for you to be able to know what is this material about, you have to go to the references section and see what is the book that he refers to. So at the end of the text, you have the bracket. Unlike Chicago manual and footnote style, because in APA style, like I said just now, you have the citation next to the sentences, and then you have the list of references, of course, at the end of the article, and then you have endnotes. You have endnotes. Endnotes mean after all the article is done, before the references, then you have the endnotes where the citation is listed at the end of the article. But for Chicago manual style, you have to use footnotes, right? So, say for example, one sentence you put number one, yeah, footnote, and then you go down to the page and you find footnote number one and the citation in Chicago manual style. Everything is written. For example, okay, Ibrahim, Haslina, comma, and then you have the year of publication 1991, full stop, and then you have the title of the book, for example, uh, Exploring Religious Pluralism, Christian Muslim Experience, and then footnote, it's not footnote, full stop, and then you have the publisher, Kuala Lumpur, double colon, isi Malaysia, full stop, and then apa lagi? That's it. So you have that is called full note. So for and then pages lah, pages. I missed that point. After you have written the place of publication, full stop, and then page, which particular page that you are referring to. But for APA style, you don't have. Even though APA style, I think they have until up to 7 styles. In APA style, they have up to 7 editions or 7 style under APA style. So for me, when I use APA style, I still put pages. So I have like Asina Ibrahim, comma 1995, comma page 120, bracket, close the bracket. So when people read, people know which page to refer to. And I would recommend you to maintain the page because in future, say for example, you need to refer back to the work, you know which page you need to refer to. Because in one of the PhD students recently came to see me and said, Allah, master student from InHeart. He said that he wanted to publish an article with Al-Itqan, the journal with our department, but we are using Chicago manual and footnote style, but he has already a completed article and he has to change from APA to Chicago manual. And I said, it's okay lah. I mean, if you learn Zotero, you'll be able to do this with a click of a finger. I said, why don't you use Zotero? You can do this with a click of the finger. But then he said, but madam, when I use APA style, I didn't put page. So if I were to transform to Chicago manual style, I will still have to look for the page and I will have to go and find the material. You see? So it's a lot of headache lah because how you going to find in the book? So it's good for you to put the page, at least for your future reference. Alright? So I would like you to get familiar with these two styles, Chicago manual style and APA style, because many of the journals today have adopted APA style. And I will teach you, next class, I will teach you how to use Zotero so you can shift from APA style to Chicago manual style with a click of a finger. And I want you to start using Zotero when writing your proposal, and hopefully when you're used to Zotero, you can do this when you write you will thank me later. Like if you know how to use Zotero, you will thank me later, inshallah. Because, inshallah, it helps you a lot in writing academic work. I remember when I did my master's and PhD, and during that time we didn't have all this Zotero, APA, whatnot. Everything was done manually. So took me a great pain just to make sure that, you know, the year of publication, the comma, everything is rightly stated in the thesis. I have to do it manually. Yeah. But now, Alhamdulillah, with Zotero, you just have the library in your laptop and you just click and the library will arrange the material for you. So you will not waste your time there. And the other good thing about it, you can still recycle the references. Say for example, now you want to work on another article, but you want to use the same resources, you can just drag the item into the new subtitle. I will show you later, inshallah. But uh, for for this time, I just want you to be familiar with these two referencing styles, citation styles, APA styles and NS styles. Actually, there is also another referencing tool apart from Zotero, which is called Mendeley. Are you familiar with Mendeley? Anybody has studied Mendeley? Let's use Mendeley.
Yes, I have installed both Mendeley and
Oh, good.
uh,
Mendeley is also useful, and Mendeley is good because it has, how do I say it? It has like agreement with Scopus and Web of Science. So many of the articles in Scopus and Web of Science, say for example, you read from one article that is published by a Scopus journal and you want to import this article in Mendeley, uh, the record of that article will be automatically captured by Mendeley. Yeah. Because everything is in a database. Memang susah nak faham sikit Tapi the setback of Mendeley is this, because Mendeley is mainly used for APA style. So if you want to change to Chicago manual footnote style, you will not be able to do. So that's the reason why I use Zotero, even though I must say that Mendeley is most sophisticated in terms of capturing the item from the journal. So, I mean, especially in terms of the importing the detail. Zotero sometimes can be very crazy lah, because, you know, say for example, you want to import the data from one article. Actually, you can just drag the article into the library, Zotero library, and then the Zotero library will capture the data automatically. It will be reflected in your library, but then you still have to do corrections, you know, in terms of the maybe spelling, in terms of the how the title is written. Sometimes jumbled up with small letters, capital letters, kan. That does not look good lah when you put in your article or in your thesis, kan, you want it to be neat, kan. You don't want like for example, have one title, say for example my book, Exploring Religious Pluralism, Christian and Muslim Responses. So you want the title, the first alphabet in the title to be capitalized, kan. Tapi Zotero did not capture the title properly. Everything is small letters. So you still need to do corrections in the Zotero library. So when you import it in your research, it will be nice. Tak adalah, you know, small letter, everything in small letter. Because that is also something to do with formatting. So if you format it properly in the Zotero account, it will be properly reflected in your this is to make your life easier lah. Memang lah at the very beginning, alamak madam, pettynya, alamak madam, very macam technicalnya. But believe me, if you manage to do this at the very beginning, it will ease up your journey at the very end. InsyaAllah. Alright, so that is about referencing to what else I want to ask you. Okay, let me give you the opportunity for you to ask me questions. It's a worth me talking.
Madam.
Yep.
Nowadays we can get access to the restricted journal.
Is that a statement or a question?
It is introduction to the question.
Okay. All right, carry on.
So is it illegal or not to use it?
Oh, you are using this Russian Russian link, are you?
I
How did you get access to it? Tell me.
afraid everybody will copy it and I get the sin of it.
Well, at the age of knowledge transfer, all the degrees pun online sekarang ni. I don't know why these people are still restricting the journal. For example, Scopus and Web of Science. It doesn't make sense. They want us to purchase and it's very expensive. And this is what I regard as colonization of knowledge at the age of globalization. Why I said so? You see, for example, I give you a very simple example. I did a research in 2008, and that research is funded by the Ministry of Higher Education. So I got 55,000 for that research. And the outputs of my research is a publication, one publication. I published in Taylor's and Francis. This is a Scopus journal. So now, when I published there, I was given the access to all the journals under Taylor's, Francis and Taylor for a year. After that 1 year, I cannot get access to their journals. Because if I want to get access, I have to pay. And all students in Malaysia, public university who want to read my journal have to pay. Of course, students do not have money to pay because the journal is very expensive. Yeah. So the university will have to purchase the journal. But of course, university will have to look for the money to purchase the journal from the Ministry of Higher Education. And the Ministry of Higher Education will have to purchase that journal for certain university, especially research universities, to get access to that journal. So you see, we spend our money to do research, they get the outputs of our research and they sell back to us. That's why I say it's a form of imperialism or colonization of knowledge. This ranking university, pushing the university to publish in Scopus, publish in Web of Science, and ask us to pay for that journals is actually very colonial oriented. This is our resources, and they are tapping our resources, and they are charging us on our own resources. That's why I am against this idea of ranking. Okay, Adi, to answer your question, if you have friends who are now studying at the research university, USM, I think USM has access to all these expensive journals. You can get their help to share with you the articles. If you have friends in the UK, if you have friends in the US, of course you can get their help to get the article. Last time I have a friend in the US and I said, my friend was a visiting professor at Georgetown University. So I said, yes.
My connection putus.
Oh, okay. But I have recorded. So inshallah.
Since you
can listen to my.
Have friends. Can you continue from there?
If you have friends at overseas in the US, in the UK, then you can get him to get the article because, say for example, if he study in Birmingham or in Edinburgh, you say, I want this article, can you help me to get this article? So this person will download the article and share the article with you. So you save the article. That is one way. And then the last result would be using the pirate link. Yeah, I mean, if there is, if there is no other means to do it, then they have to do the pirate link. Otherwise, we cannot do our research. Seriously. Yeah. So actually, I think these corpus journal,
Yes,
Web
yes.
of Science, these are actually making money journals. Of course, there are very good articles in those journals. I don't doubt it. Yeah. But they are making us paying more, even though they know that we are not rich country. Yeah. So yeah, that would be the trick on how to get access. You can ask your friends from UM, from USM, from UKM, from UTM, from UPM, because those are research universities. I think if I'm not mistaken, USM has access to all the journals under the Web of Science. Okay, another good academic research engine is to go to if you go to the library and you seek for online database. Online database. Remind me next class I will show you. Yeah. So you have articles under JSTOR, because most of the articles under JSTOR are accessible, though some of them are not accessible. Yeah. And under the core, under the IRAP, okay lah, never mind. I'll show you later on, so you can get article also from there. Or you can go to Academia Edu. Are you familiar with Academia Edu? Academia Edu. ACADEMIA
Yes,
dot
madam.
edu. Okay, you can go there because some authors, they are kind enough to share their article published in reference journal, in expensive journal, in that search engine. Okay, another search engine for academic resources is ResearchGate. ResearchGate. You can go to ResearchGate and find articles. What I like about the two search engines is because many of the academics also publish their conference papers in these two search engines. So, because conference papers, you will not get it from the reference article or index journal, because they do not fulfill the criteria of in reference journal. But they are good conference papers, and you will notice that most of the conference papers address the current issues, the local issues especially, and give you the latest research, because not everybody publish their research in reference journals, especially in this world journal. Expensive. Some of the journals are expensive, and they take very long time to get published in the Scopus Journal or Web of Science journal. At least 2 years. I have 3 articles in the Scopus ISI. It took me 2 years to get one article published. I feel so fed up. But what to do? That's how they work. Yeah? So you can go to the Academia Edu and ResearchGate to get conferences papers, which also publish very good, issues. Discuss very good issues and present research findings, especially this recent research. Because conference paper didn't take longer time, but reference journal take at least 2 years to get published. So by the time it is published, it's already 2 years after the research was conducted, isn't it? But conference paper, normally conference paper, how do I say it? You organize in one academic year. Say for example, end of this year we will conduct a conference and we call for paper, right? So this year research published in this year conference. So you get very latest research findings or discourse on the titles, right? Okay. So what I'm trying to get you people familiar with is to to know what are the type of resources or references that you can refer to help you in doing your research. Especially at the master level, it is important for you to know where to find resources, how to organize the resources in your master thesis, and how to organize and how to use the resources to develop your. So you are not required to prove something. Yeah. In PhD, then it's a serious business because you have to prove something. Okay, but even for a master research, you need to know how to find a research gap. Okay, how many of you have heard the word research gap?
Research gate, Doctor?
Research gap, G-A-P, gap.
Oh, research gap.
How many of you have heard the word research gap, and what is your impression or what is your understanding of research gap?
I think research gap is the limitation, Doctor.
Okay, limitation. Who else want to try? Quiet. Are you still around? Are you sleeping? Cepat Amir. Salahuddin, you were with me. Cuba ingat balik. Try to remember. Sorry Salahuddin and Amirul Nisa. Sometimes I speak in Malay. We should learn Malay too. So what is research gap? Yeah, you should.
There are so many Amirs and we are getting confused. Like, whom we are calling.
Amirul Nisa, what is it again that you said just now? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Actually, there are so many Amirs in the class, so when you're calling Amir, like, we are like very sharp.
Okay, so maybe I call you Nisa.
Yes. Okay.
Alright, so what is research gap? Amir, Faikal, not Amirul Nisa. Faikal, you want to answer her? You seem like want to answer.
Research gap is I would say a gap hole where on how to simplify it, a research gap from my understanding is a hole in research where there are no previous studies has been focused on that particular issue. Like for example, yep.
For example?
For example, like
I love it when you give example. I mean, that show how PG students should be.
okay. For example, I mean if I may share, like for example, in my focus for my master, I want to do on wakaf, but most of the researches that are being circulated or published are mostly referring to wakaf administration. But however, uh, there has been quite a gap in wakaf development, issues in wakaf development, especially in terms of like land issues, what land wakaf issues, or the rest lah.
Good.
So
Good.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like, people talking about how to get people, how to get resources, pull all the resources, yeah, and how to administer the resources. But then, what happened after the resources is there? How do you manage the resources? You have the land, so what do you do with the land? Yeah, the management of the wakaf. So that is the gap. Gap means the unresearched aspect of the title. So you have plenty of research done, but there is still a very pertinent issue in that area that has yet to be researched. Right? So you want to zoom into that specific area. So if you notice, from what I've said about research gap and from what Brother Faisal has explained just now about research gap, you know that a master thesis, a PhD thesis has to be very specific. You cannot have broader title. It has to zoom down to the problem, nail down the problem. But for you to nail down the problem, you have to identify the problem. Yeah? And it is a must to have a research gap. A must in terms of your research should contribute to the body of knowledge. I mean, you don't want to write something that has been written before. If you have to write something that has been written before, what is the new aspect in your thesis that you want to bring? Alright, that is research. Otherwise, it becomes assignment je lah. If you do not have the research gap, you are actually writing an assignment. Alright. Okay, so before we conclude this class today, let me help you to figure out and to think after this what area you want to do in terms of your research title. So Shukaira put up hands. You want to ask anything, Shukaira?
Madam, I wanted to ask, if the are we encouraged to pursue on the area that has research gap, or we are to avoid anything that has research gap?
Oh, okay.
We can become the bridge to fill the research gap. I mean, our area of research maybe.
Okay, Shukaira, it is like this. You have to find the research gap and you write on that research gap. Gap ni is like, how do I say it? Okay, when you talk about relationship kan, when you talk about relationship and there is a distance in that relationship, it means that there is a gap in that relationship. So, how do you fill in that gap to link the relationship again? To in that manner to not only to bridge lah, but to bring the research, the relationship together again. Because you have certain distance kan? You have certain distance, so you want to bring it together again. So you fill in the gap. Like Brother Faisal said just now, many have been written on the administration of wakaf. There are plenty of research on wakaf. Yeah? But not much have been written on the management of wakaf. This is what he wants to contribute at. So, next researcher who would like to write on wakaf would see, okay, how do I benefit from Faikal's research on the management of wakaf? After some time, many people have written on the management of wakaf. Then maybe some other people would say, already too many people writing on the management of wakaf. Alhamdulillah, good research done. What else can we develop on the issue of wakaf? Maybe during that time, there is no more gap in the management of wakaf anymore. So this person will try to find the gap to start a research. So it's very dynamic. When we talk about research, it has to be dynamic. It cannot be static. That is your life as a postgraduate student. That is a life of an academics at the university. Academics at the university are not teachers at school. Because if you compare between teachers at school and academics, your teachers teach, kind of the same thing every year unless the curriculum change, isn't it? But at the university, Of course, we have course outline, but you'll find that your lecturers, in principle, have to renew the materials, have to renew the narrative, have to renew the discussion. And every 4 years, the department or the university, the kuliah will have to review the curriculum. So we have to introduce new courses, we have to introduce new references, new materials, new resources. It's very dynamic. Can you follow me or not? Supaira, did I answer your question?
Yes, madam. Thank you
Hmm.
so much.
All
It's
right.
very clear.
All right. So, okay. I want to know because at this point of time, I want to uh, dig into your mind. What do you have in your mind? I want you to speak out loud what you have in your mind. So I am able and you are able to diagnose your problem. Maybe in the case of Faikal just now, I think he knows now what he wants to write. So wakaf, this is under fiqh lah. Fiqh, not usulul fiqh lah kan. Fiqh is application in uh, uh, in nature. It's application in nature. Yeah. So it's applied Islamic studies. Applied Islamic studies. Yeah. But with the rest of you, I want to know what you have in your mind so far. So after this class, you can rethink again, and then next class we will do more brainstorming to help you to come out with the title. All right, who wanted to start? Who wants to start first? What I want you to share with all of us now is what area do you have in your mind to do your research, to start your research? Say, for example, you're from Quran Sunnah studies and you say, okay, I want to do hadith study, but I want to focus on the matan, not on the dirayah, not on the rijal, not on the criteria of the hadith, not on the maqam of the hadith. So I want to focus on the matan of the hadith, for example. Textual criticism, for example. So, who wants to start? Would Faikal want to lead, perhaps to give your friends some perspective? Faikal, how do you start finding this area? I mean, how do you start finding your passion into wakaf?
Um, okay. Can you can hear me, right, madam?
Yes,
Is the
okay.
microphone okay? All right. So technically, my initial journey into this wakaf field is because I'm really interested into public financing. So at first I thought of doing zakat, but then suddenly when I got employed, alhamdulillah, so suddenly I was tasked into working in wakaf. So suddenly I found that wakaf is something that should be focused. And when I was doing the research for my company, so because our company is more focused on planning and development, so therefore they have to propose policies on wakaf, especially for development. So and then when I studied further, I found out that there are very little resources and written works on issues of wakaf development in Malaysia. So and then most of them are administration, legal, and other aspects, but not development. So and then especially when it comes to if you want to build a house or a commercial building on a wakaf land, would there be any encumbrances? So these are some of the issues. And then suddenly I found like, okay, so this is what I'm writing. Okay, and then yeah, while I'm doing work for my company, so I took time to also dwell deeply into the topic. So I thought that maybe for my master, I will not touch upon very technical, which probably do not relate much to my academic background, but I will relate it the issue of development in terms of, for example, what is the Sharia perspective on this type of thing? Because like when it comes to development in Malaysia, we have the Sharia law, and then we have the conventional law. So I may be doing comparative study for that particular issue lah.
All right,
Yep.
all right. So the way I see it, if you notice from what Brother Faikal has explained just now, actually the title from the very beginning did not come from him. He has certain interest in zakat. But when he get involved with something else and he developed passion in that title. So it means that maybe that does not come from you from the very beginning, but then somebody else maybe asked you, or somebody else started to talk to you about this, and you start to develop interest in it and you do research in it. Yeah. There were also times when actually, for example, if you are working with particular lecturer with research funding, say for example, my area of research is interreligious relation, and I have a fund, but you are not interested in interreligious issue, but you need the fund so much. Yeah. So you said, okay, you said to me, okay, madam, I can work with you as research assistant. But then I said, but you have to work on a title that is related to my research. Otherwise, I cannot employ you as my research assistant. So even though you do not have the passion in my area, but you have to develop the passion in my area. And whether you like it or not, you have to do it because you want the funding very much. But once when you decided to get into my area, interreligious relations is going to be your area of specialization in future. Because there is no point that you start this specialization and in your PhD you embark on another area of specialization. It's a waste of time because you have developed resources, materials, readings and knowledge in that area and you want to shift to another area. That will not be. So you really need to think carefully if you are shifting to another area which is not within your passion. But what I want to say, you can emulate Brother Faikal because he's very flexible in that manner. Because even though maybe he was so much interested in zakat, but it's okay. He can develop his research interest in wakaf. Alright, and he found that, well, there's still valid thing to be researched and there's a gap there. Let's do it. So you need to have that flexibility. Alright, and you need to love, of course lah. You need to love doing what you want to do. Yeah. Otherwise, you don't carry on. Like just for example, if Amir kan, or if Faikal is so rigid, wanted to do on zakat, but his job required him to do on wakaf. So he has to do two things concurrently, right? So he will have to juggle between the two research, which is putting extra burden to him. Of course, he maybe can do it. He can do it if he wants, but of course that will put him into a very difficult situation, juggling between two research at the same time. It's not practical. Alright. But in your case, Faikal, it's okay lah, zakat and wakaf is still under the same roof of issues lah. I mean, it's very interrelated pun, right? Still under fiqh and usul fiqh. What I'm trying to say, for example, someone to do interreligious relation and then he wants to do on hadith, matan of the hadith, which has nothing to do with interreligious relation. Is very interested in learning the hadith, textual criticism of the hadith, context of the hadith, but then his research is about interreligious relation. That does not jive altogether. Okay, Maghrib is about 10 minutes from now. I still want to listen from you. I told you that you are PG student. I want to listen to your voice. So who wants to volunteer? This happen every time. I'm the one.
Madam, I would like to volunteer.
Okay, please, Nisa, please.
So I have decided on some topic and Alhamdulillah I've submitted the proposal form. Hopefully it gets accepted inshallah. So the field I'm going to research on is the traveling of women, the classical and the contemporary opinions on the same. And I'll inshallah analyze it in the light of Maqasid Sharia, inshallah. So I'll analyze each and every opinion of classical scholars and contemporary scholars, and I'll be going through their methodologies, and I'll try to analyze and derive conclusions, like why they have provided such ruling, and so on. So
Alright, so okay. It's good title. Just my question to you. What actually the problems with women traveling?
Mhm.
Many women are traveling around the world to do.
Yes, but for me, I faced this situation while I was in India, when I consulted one of the very renowned sheikhs of scholars, a scholar of my place. He prohibited me from traveling from Chennai to Malaysia. So that's how I got interest to this topic. And I don't know, my course is also usul fixed. So I wanted to know more about opinions, why scholars have given such and such opinion, and in the light of Maqasid, and truly understanding the essence behind each and every opinion, and why contemporary scholars have given different opinions. And I just wanted to analyze why are the opinions changing? Is it due to the technologies, or due to the advancement? So I just wanted to analyze everything, inshallah.
Yeah, from the perspective of Maqasid Syariah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
no, we have also to acknowledge that Maqasid Syariah is developed later in the discourse of Usulul Fiqh. This is
Mhm,
not from the very beginning. So,
mhm,
in the time of Shafi'i, the time of Hanbali, there was no Maqasid Syariah. Maqasid
mhm,
Syariah developed by Shatibi came later, and that's why some of the stringent fiqh have been resolved
mhm, mhm,
because of the interjection of maqasid syariah, right? So
mhm,
many, you know what? Many of the fake uh, uh, fake rulings become white because we have introduced maqasid syariah.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
So to answer your question, actually, it's there in the title. The
mhm.
reason why women can travel is because we have developed maqasid syariah.
Yes. Mhm,
So this is the preamble answer to your question.
mhm, mhm,
Ah, before we do not have maqasid syariah. So normally when fuqaha make rulings, they make rulings on the basis of the context
mhm,
of
mhm,
the place. Say,
mhm.
in for example, in the Gulf countries, yeah,
The
uh,
time and space, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
so they have certain customs and restrictions for women. Women were
Mhm,
not
mhm,
educated, okay? So in that situation, women not allowed to travel alone because this is to protect the safety of the
Safety.
woman. Yeah,
Yes.
actually that is maqasid. It's a valid
Mhm,
maqasid. It's a
mhm,
valid maqasid. But
mhm.
during that time, they have yet to develop maqasid syariah.
Yes. Yes.
Right, so it's very contextual peak at that point of time. But later
Mhm,
on, when fuqaha developed maqasid syariah, then the banning is lifted because as long as the maqasid is preserved, then
mhm.
you can give more relief to the woman to travel. So yeah, I think what you can discuss with your lecturers later on, your supervisor later on, is how this title can really address the gap. Because I know that there is a gap in this research, but the title has to reflect the gap. Because the way you form it does not explain the gap.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay, so your supervisor will be able to help you to
To be frank, the fear is that if I make a really complex topic title, it has to get approved, right? So that's what I'm fearing about.
it has
So
to what? It has to what?
it has to be approved by the committee. So
Yes,
that's
of
what.
course. Yes, of course. It has. That's why your supervisor will assist you. Your
Mhm,
supervisor will be in the committee members as well.
mhm, mhm,
So your supervisor will help you with the title, so
mhm,
the title sound convincing to the committee. The
Okay.
problem now, if the supervisor does not help the student with the title, so
Mhm.
when you are presenting your thesis, you are alone. Your
Yes,
supervisor
yes,
will
yes.
not be able to defend.
Actually, I wanted to keep the topic this way, like critical analysis. I wanted to criticize, but later I felt it won't be approved, so I made it analytical.
It's
So,
okay. It's okay. It's okay. But
mhm.
I mean, yeah, what I'm trying to say is that in light of maqasid syariah, it's very indirect lah. Indirect, like actually what you
Okay,
want to say is this: the role of maqasid syariah in solving the problems of women traveling alone. You know,
okay.
this is what you want to do actually.
Mm-hmm,
You want
mm-hmm,
to
mm-hmm.
show how Maqasid Syariah has helped women to travel or has facilitated women today to travel. This is what you want to actually do. You don't want to dwell on these classical arguments and contemporary arguments. That waste of time because you know these arguments already. People have developed, have discussed and studied the arguments. So you don't want to reinvent this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But you want to say how Maqasidul Syariah help
mm-hmm.
to do away with this debate. No
Okay,
problem
okay,
at all. So I mean
okay.
this is how I look at the gap in your research.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Madam,
So,
actually, I'm
mhm.
pretty much convinced with the contemporary opinions rather than the
Yeah.
political opinions.
Yeah, but then spell it out in your research because the way the title is formulated uh does not explain what you want.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. But
Got
then, insyaAllah, we will try to improve it
it.
from time to time. Yeah?
Inshallah, inshallah.
Hopefully. But you have the area already, insyaAllah. Alhamdulillah. Okay,
I-
one more person and then we call it off because we have to pray Maghrib kan. Thank you, Nisa, for your, uh, you know, for your sharing. Anybody else?
Shukran.
Me, madam.
Okay, Shukaira.
Okay. Um. Actually, I wanted to do my research under Grant Dr. Unggaran.
Okay.
So he because I'm very flexible on any area in comparative
Mm-hmm.
religion. So
Mm-hmm.
he asked me to analyze some letter of Paul in the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
maybe one letter of Paul. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, basically that's. But I'm not sure how yet. So yeah, basically that my
So
that
basically,
one.
you want to be to develop your specialization in Christianity lah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Pauline Christianity.
yeah.
It's not. It is not Protestantism. It is not Orthodox Christian.
Yeah.
It is Pauline Christianity. Not even Catholic.
Yeah,
Not
it's more
even
to
Catholicism.
it's more to biblical lah,
Uh,
biblical research. Yeah.
Yeah, biblical studies, Pauline Christianity. Okay, but that's what that has to do with Islam.
Um, that one is yet to that
Okay.
one is yet to be.
So at the department, members of the department will ask you this. So how does this contribute to Islam, and how? I mean, if there is an element of relevantization, if there is an element of Islamization in the study, so then you have to highlight that. So that will be the gap, because of course there are many writings on Paul online. Dr. Unggaran has published a recent book on
It's the meaning of the Son of God.
and there is a gap because he managed to explain what actually Son of God means in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And that meaning has something to do with what Islam perceives Son of God means. So that is the Islamization or the relevantization of his work. So if you want to study the discourse of Paul in the Bible, then maybe you want to do something about his missionary activities.
Yeah.
for example. His missionary activities, but then how do you make it relevant to, for example, current context of Christian evangelization activities, for example. So we Muslims would know that whether the current evangelical missions, especially evangelical movements in the US, is doing something that is in accordance with the biblical idea of evangelism.
Yep. Understand.
Yeah.
All right, madam. Yeah.
For example, Paul wrote letters to the king, to the rulers, kan? So what about the evangelical? And does Paul, or did Paul force people to become Christian? Did he use uh, certain techniques or methods um, to evangelize people, to proselytize? Or maybe you can write about proselytism and Paul,
I see.
because current evangelical movement is very they practice proselytism. So you want to see whether proselytism is rooted in Pauline Christianity. That would add contribution uh, to Muslims,
I see. Yeah.
to Islamic studies. Because I know that when talking about Christianity, everybody is like, Christianity is very evangelical, always wanted to evangelize the Muslim, kan? So
Yeah.
we want to know if the current evangelical movement is in line with the four-line evangelization or evangelical activities. Did Saint Paul practice proselytism?
What is it, madam? Proselyte.
Proselytism. Do you study this in evangelization and Christian missionary with Dr. Fazila?
Yeah, yeah, I did. Oh,
So proselytism.
proselyte.
In Christian evangelization or missionary, they make sure that someone who they approach must become Christian. This is evangelicalism. This is evangelization. This is Christian missionary. Unlike dakwah, in dakwah we communicate, and it is up to the person that we communicate the message of Islam to choose to accept or not to accept.
I see.
Because
All
la ikraha fid din, qad tabayyana ar-rushd min al-ghayy. So if someone is not convinced of Islam, like this person who say that maybe he should consider to change into another religion. So if she is, or he, he or she, if he is convinced with other religion, let her choose that religion, but just make sure that he learn about that religion before he profess into that religion. I don't know whether you understand what I'm telling you this or not. This is a case of Sajat lah, to be very frank. Brother Salahuddin and Sister Amirul Nisa, there is a case in Malaysia. One person said that he wants to leave Islam because he thought that Muslims did not treat him well. Yeah, so he said better he leave Islam because he thought that other religions can treat him better than Islam. So what I'm trying to say is that before any person would want to change his religion, he should also learn about the religion that he wanted to embrace, because he should know that religion well before he changed his religion. Yeah, if he does not know that religion and he wanted to embrace that religion, that is a very wrong strategy. Yeah. So this happened in Malaysia. So I am referring this case to Sister Shukaira because this also applicable to Islam. Yeah. Uh, in principle, when someone we communicate the facts of Islam to someone, he has to make sense of what we communicated to him about Islam. He has to be convinced. Then he will get sincerity. Then he become a good Muslim. But if he is forced to become Muslim, that's why you find that there are many Muslims who are born Muslims but do not appreciate Islam because they do not follow Islam sincerely. They become Muslim just because their parents are Muslim. Or sometimes they become Muslim because they want to marry a Muslim lady or a Muslim man. So, say for example, if anything happened during the marriage, when they divorce, they will leave the religion. So it's no point. Yeah. All right. So that would be my inputs for you, Shukara. It's good. I would recommend you to pursue in this area of study, knowing Christianity, and to be able to differentiate the Christianity of today to that Christianity of the Pauline Christianity, because you will see that Christianity today has changed a lot. It's changed a lot in comparison to the earlier Christianity become a new religion altogether. So you'll be surprised if you know this. And I think even Christians, they were surprised also to learn this. Yeah.
Thank you so much, madam.
All right. So next class, because you don't have the opportunity to share your perspective. So next class, I will discuss about research. What is your research? Why you do research? A preamble to the meaning of research, and I will show you how to use Zotero. But before that, next class I will continue with Salahuddin, with Amira, with Dini, with Amirul Ashraf, with Adib. I want to know what area you are interested in so I can guide you to find the title. All right.
Inshallah.
So that is one takeaway before we disperse. And secondly, I want you to upload Zotero on your laptop. So you go to zotero.org and download it on your laptop. Inshallah tonight I will share the materials for you to guide you on how to download the Zotero and try to explore Zotero before we come to class. So it's much easier if you are familiar with the interface, inshallah. All right. Thank you very much and hope to see you again. Cannot wait to see you because I love teaching postgraduate students. All right. Anything else before we conclude? Go around the
Yes,
table.
madam, sorry to interrupt. What is the attendance procedure, ma'am?
Sorry, Nisa, I didn't hear you.
Attendance. How
Oh, okay. I already, how do I say it? Already download Google Meet attendance.
okay.
So your attendance is recorded by Google extension
Okay.
attendance. Alhamdulillah, I'm quite techno savvy as well.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, there are only 8 of you. If someone missing from class, I should have known. Yeah, and
Okay.
I will chase the person.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so thank you very much. Inshallah, I'll see you again. Have a nice day and read. Tahu, my daughter said 7.40 dah, I know. All right, thank you all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you.
Walaikum.
Thank you, madam.
Bye bye.
Ya, betul.